Thank you all for coming. It's nice to see some unfamiliar faces from the meetings that we've been having as a group. So I'm Ray Sims, manager for the town of Lakeview, and I wish to welcome you all here this evening. The group, the core group of the Main Street organization, now called the Lakeview Community Partnership, have been meeting for several months as we've been preparing for this evening. I look at this evening being kind of the kickoff of the community's participation in our community partnership that we're developing, and we look forward to all of you engaging with us in the opportunities that we're about to embark on, and we welcome your participation and ideas. Several different members of our group are going to discuss with you this evening. The opportunities are here. We have a guest speaker this evening we'll introduce a little later, who's going to talk about the work that she has done in Rock Springs, Wyoming. A few months ago, most of you here will remember back in the winter when various stores and businesses around Lakeview were closed or closing. I think we all kind of had a sense of urgency that, what are we going to do about this? It looked like gloom and doom was here not only for the winter, but going to last for the rest of the year. Fortunately, that has turned around somewhat, and we have some of those businesses that closed and reopened, and so we didn't quite take the nosedive that I think many of us in the communities thought we were about to take. But at the same time, I think we all recognize that our community can use some revitalization, and so this organization's purpose is to help facilitate that to happen. But for it to happen, we need all of your help. We need for you to contact your friends and ask them to help, and we all need to be in this together. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to John Kogar. John has been working with us since the beginning, before the beginning of this group. This has started 2 or 3 times before, and John's going to talk a little bit about the history of how we've got to where we are today. John?
Thank you. Thank you, Ray. I want to thank all of you for coming tonight. I really appreciate it. I think it's a very important thing that we're doing here for the community. I'd like to give you a little information about the history behind the formation of this organization. For me, the journey started right here. I was born in the basement just below the piano there someplace when this was the Lakeview Hospital a few years ago. My parents were business people here. They owned the Three Flags Motel, which is where the Best Western is now. They started the first taxi cab company here, had rental properties and commercial properties. Lakeview was a rip-roaring place growing up here in the 50s. Big sawmills were running 3 shifts. We had ranchers, loggers, hard rock miners, cowboys, and Indians, all having a really good time. We had a vibrant community. We had local grocery stores in various parts of the town. We had men's stores, ladies' fashion stores, 3 drug stores. Every storefront in the town was full. We had a Penny's, a Sears, a Montgomery Ward's, 3 car dealers, 2 oil distributors, and a working population. By the late 60s, things started to change. When I graduated, we had 120 kids in my graduating class. I think this year there was someplace around 60.
54.
Yeah, 54. Today it's about half that. The uranium mill ran its course. The sawmills and molding plants went from full steam ahead to the auction block. Thank goodness for the Collins family, though. That mill could have been closed a long time ago. They chose not to, and they've been a great partner for Lakeview and Lake County. There's an old Bob Dylan song that with the line, "He not busy being born is busy dying." Lakeview's been busy dying for a long time. Rightly or wrongly, there is a general perception that our economic past is that of city and county officials not wanting any progress or outsiders coming into the community. Afraid that they might change something that's been going on for 100 years, or somebody get in their hunting and fishing spot. Stories abound about businesses that wanted to locate here and did not because they were ran out of town. While I know some of these stories are true from personal experience, the reality is that life happens. Things change, and not always for the best. Paisley, Plush, and Pine Creek all had large communities with thousands of residents, and now they've almost disappeared into the sands of time. As the mills closed, we lost timber dollars. Lakeview business people suffered. As cars got better and the roads faster, more of us went to Klamath Falls to go shopping. Get out of town for the day. Go to Woolworths for lunch. Go to the city. It's only gotten worse with time. The big box stores, like Home Depot and especially Wally World, with cheap China-made goods, killed the mom and pop stores in small towns all over America. As the mills closed, we lost our labor force. The housing was taken over by retirees moving into Lakeview for the low-cost housing in our depressed market. Most of these folks seldom shop locally, and as retirees, they didn't spend money the way a working family does. Downtown really took a hit when the Forest Service moved the supervisor's office from the Marius building to their new facility up on North 5th, where North School is located. The employees no longer walked down to the Indian Village for lunch and went shopping when they walked back to go to work. Everyone packed a lunch then when they moved to the south end of town, and almost no one came up into the center of town when they opened the new Taj Mahal down there. Lakeview and Lake County came to understand they were in deep poo and bit the bullet, opting to invite the state of Oregon to build a correctional facility. Great controversy and turmoil in the community, but it was a lifeline that has had a valuable part in our survival. This spring, as Ray alluded to, we had a little mini perfect storm hit at the same time. Jerry's closed because of health issues in the family. The niche boutique closed. Folks looked around and saw all the empty buildings and realized something had to be done. Ray Sims and Ginger, who's the new economic development officer for Lake County, called a meeting, inviting some of the local building owners like myself and business people to come talk about it. What can we do? Is there something that we're missing? How can we move this community forward? Ginger and I were both aware of a program called the Oregon Main Street, which is an economic development tool used all across America for community revitalization. Ginger had worked with the program in other communities in Oregon in her previous job, and I had proposed the town of Lakeview investigate the Oregon Main Street clear back in the 90s to no avail. The group voted to contact Sherry Stewart, coordinator for the State of Oregon Main Street program. Ms. Stewart came to Lakeview and gave us a great presentation on how Oregon communities had benefited from the implementation of this program. We held a well-attended informational meeting a few months ago, and from there volunteers formed a steering committee for the purpose of joining the Main Street program. Since that time, we have formed a board of directors and are in the process of getting our nonprofit status, which will allow us, the organization, to access public and private financing sources. We've done some strategic planning and set some goals. Now it's time for more community involvement. We chose the name Lakeview Community Partnership to be more inclusive than most Main Street organizations, who typically focus just on the downtown core area. We chose the motto, Historic Pride, Community Involvement, to reflect our goal of revitalization of the downtown, but at the same time addressing the needs of all the folks in the community. The Oregon Main Street program is designed as a template that requires the community to make their own choices about their future. It's nothing that's laid on top of us to accept or not. So at this time, I would like to introduce Kathy Johnson Tackett, former Lakeview resident, graduate of our fine Lake County school system here. Kathy is a hometown gal who's has a presentation on her experience with the Main Street program in Rock Springs, Wyoming.
Yes.
Thank you, Kathy. Good.
I have not lived in this community for about 30 years, but I have visited every year but one of those years when I was pregnant with one of my children. So I have a vested interest. I intend to retire here. And I want to share just some of the knowledge that I've gained doing some of this work in Wyoming. So the first thing I want to talk about a little bit is, what is community? As each one of you walked in this room tonight, you became a part of a community. A different community than the larger part of what you make, but definitely a community. So a community is comprised of any group of people that share a common interest. And with that, I'd like to go around the room and find out, what are your common interests? Why are each one of you here? Can we start with you?
Economic development in town council.
Okay.
I'm a building owner and very interested in the economic development and future of Lakeview.
Okay.
Well, what turned me on to the Main Street program was to make your town, your downtown, your community appealing to your own residents, to make a nice town for us.
Business owner, a part-time resident, hope to be full-time resident in the next year, and love Lakeview. Been calling over here since 1974, and I'm in love with it.
Okay.
I'm a double business owner and have vested interest here.
Okay.
I'm an outside business owner, outside of the city limits, but the city is a vested interest in our business also.
Mm-hmm.
I'm here because I'd like to find out where I could buy a pair of socks.
That's important.
I haven't bought anything in this town as far as garment goes since we've been here for 15 years.
I've got some used stuff.
Don't you shop the clock?
Let's go.
Just a Lakeview believer.
Okay.
A business owner, vested
Mm-hmm.
business owner, born and raised here, love this community, love the people in it, and would like to share it with others.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the district attorney and president of Rotary.
Okay.
Newspaper reporter.
I kind of figured that out.
Ken Kessler, I'm one of the county commissioners. I'm a transplant here from Arkansas originally. But what drew me here, I used to come over when I worked on the West Adams Mountains. I come over, and it just reminded me of the good rural values that I grew up with back in the farming company. And I've seen a lot of small communities, and like John alluded to, in the 60s, small towns started shrinking, big towns started getting bigger. But we are far enough away that we have survived because we're too far away to be a bedroom community. And I think we have potential to sustain ourselves and have a great life here.
Great, thank you. Let's start there.
Well, I've been a business owner. I have a cleaning service, about 35 years here. And I just like to see this town grow and become healthy again.
And you're my sister's neighbor.
Oh.
Do you remember me?
Yeah. You're Deanna's sister.
I am Deanna's sister.
Here on behalf of Lakeview Ministries and the Gathering Place,
formerly the Lake County Hardware Building on Main Street.
Okay.
I'm a has-been.
That's better than I never was.
I had a business on site, a government agency on Main Street. Went to the desert for 26 years and came back here after I sold her ranch.
So I already introduced myself, but of course, being manager of the town of Lakeview, but also lifelong. John, the year after John, I was born underneath the piano.
I was born here too.
And never got too far away and always came back. So it's home and I care.
Wonderful.
I'm a lifelong resident of Lakeview. I care about the community. I'm a member of the chamber. I'm also the incorporator of Lakeview Community Partnership and president.
Okay.
I really have a vested interest in seeing that we accomplish
We need
what we set
people.
out to do.
I'm new to the area, just transferred in. Very nice town. I'd like to see it prosper and grow.
Wonderful.
I'm manager of the Polaris shop here in town, and the more that this place grows, the better that we do. And I'm also part of 6 generations on my mom's side and 5 generations on my dad's side. So I've got my roots in here pretty good. I'd like to see it succeed.
Yes, you do.
I'm a transplant from California 21 years ago. I've been in business for 16 years in Lakeview, and I have a very strong vested interest here.
Great.
I'm going to stand up so you can see me. I'm Mary Bradbury. I was born under the piano also. I'm well vested in Lake County. My family came here from Ireland. I'm the 2nd generation born, and we were born in Lake County, in Lakeview. So I have several businesses here, and I think my real mission is that we don't try and be like anyone else, because we are what people are looking for. We have at least down in California, I'm a rancher, and what we have in Lakeview is what people are paying big money to visit. Don't look like everybody else, just be who we are. But we have to keep the businesses in business to be who we are, so.
Building owner. I was born under the piano too.
Yay for the piano.
I just see the potential in Lakeview. I know what we have. I talk to people on a daily basis about the community, about our economy, and I think it's an amazing place, and I think that we're on the uprise, and I just want to see what we can do to boost it.
Your turn. You.
I'm Fred Smith. I teach students a lot of different things at Lakeview High School. They call me the shop teacher. I do welding, I do carpentry, I do small engines, I do business, I do technology, I do CAD drafting, CAD manufacturing, just a little bit of everything. For me, I'm always looking for some place where my students can do work that does not impact other folks, other professionals, but builds their pride, gets them engaged with their community, that sort of thing. So I'm just here listening for opportunities that perhaps my students can do things. They love demo, but they're not so skilled yet at putting things back together.
I was born and raised here, moved away for 25 years, I think, maybe. And then came back, and I have children that go to school with Mr. Smith here.
I have a student.
Yeah. And I would like there to be something for them to come back to. Without a thriving community, the kids are going to go elsewhere and may never come back. So I'd like to see there be some activities for people to do. There's just not a whole lot of things to do. With the theater gone, there's not much. And so I would really like to see some type of activities come back, as well as the downtown store show.
Great.
I am a move-in. I think you'd call us movers. I happen to be a move-in for like 30 years, like it seems to happen. But I relocated. I'm your employment counselor at COIC, and I hope to meet some of you who need to list jobs or send people to come get jobs. And I'm really excited to be here. I brought my grade school age children, and we're having a blast so far. We really are. We plan to be here a long time. But I agree, like, you know, as you look forward, when, you know, going out in the sagebrush gets a little bit old, we should find, you know, a roller skating rink or something.
Roller skating used to be the Quonset hut down on 2nd Street.
How charming would that be? That would be amazing.
You're aging yourself.
Not many remember
I don't
that.
remember that.
He is old.
I'm just a baby.
I'm just interested in diversity of activities to do, just more options, more shopping, more places to buy socks. Just in general, I guess.
Thanks.
My name's Vince, I'm here by invitation. I'm just here to learn.
Great.
Well, I was born here too, but there was no piano. I've lived here a long time. I'm not a business owner, I just wanted to see what it's all about.
Similar, I'm just here to see what it's about. The job I work at takes people to work at a tire store, Les Schwab, and without people, we can't sell any tires. So it's kind of an important thing to keep. do
How
something
many
with it.
people, excuse me, I don't mean to cut you off, how many people have had or are raising children here right now?
Right now?
Have had, yeah. Yeah, so we're all concerned about the future of our children too. I'd like to snag my grandson and bring him from Wyoming, but I don't know if his mom would like that so much, but you know, that might be something I need to work on. So again, a community is comprised of any group of people that share a common interest. It sounds like we heard a whole lot of common interest out here. And each one of you bring a special skill, you bring knowledge, you bring wisdom. Together, you will find a collective wisdom that you all have. And just a little bit about my background since I've left here. Life set me on a little bit of a path to become a nonprofit consultant, a grant consultant and administrator, a grant writer, and I'm currently the executive director for our United Way. I'm past president of our Main Street program. I'm also a Rotarian. I'm a member of the Chamber Board. And I've done various children's sports and, you know, however the community could use me. So learning about community, one of the things I found is that you have to identify who you are. So I said, you guys are a community now. And you've identified pretty much who you are. You are the Lakeview Community Partnership. You have common interests. You care about each other. You care about your community. And you're all leaders because you're here. Every one of you will assume a leadership role in some way, even though you don't realize it. Because you will go back out into your community and you will talk about being here tonight. And you will speak on it, about it, in a common and positive note. Correct? Yes. So when you go out there and talk to people, you're going to talk to businesses, healthcare providers, homeowners, renters, parent groups, retirees, the general workforce, churches, social clubs, service clubs and organizations, schools, hobby clubs and groups, recreation clubs and groups, local, state, and federal entities, and don't forget your libraries. Each one of those on its own is a community. Each one is doing what they do because they have a vested interest. So learn to tap into that, learn to use your collective wisdom, as you are going to discover a little bit later on when you form your groups. Just what is that? And give some thought during my presentation and before we go into choosing what group you think you belong to. What skills do you bring? You have them, but think about that. How can you help the community to grow? What do you have that's unique and different, or maybe the same as someone else that you can collaborate with? That's a community, working together, using all of your skills, not forming any silos for any way, but working for what we call in the United Way world, collective impact. So, go forth and conquer. With that, let me talk to you a little bit. I'm going to skip this next slide, Junior. It doesn't want to cooperate with me. Okay, so Rock Springs, Wyoming. When I went there, I was a transplant. It's been a little bit over 30 years ago. My husband at that time became a business owner, so we had children. We became vested in the community. And I have to tell you that coming from a community like Lakeview, like Lake County, and I grew up on West Side, gave me that sense of community actually to become what I do today. You guys do it well, and you teach our children well. So let's continue to do that. But Rock Springs, Wyoming, as any other community, has a very rich downtown culture and history that was in need of preservation. What happened is it's a boom-bust environment where every 3 to 4 years there's an energy boom or a coal boom or trona. Does anybody know what trona ore is? Trona ore is what makes glass. And kitty litter. Diatomaceous earth. Huge, huge. We have the largest trona reserves in the world in Sweetwater County, Wyoming. So the boom and bust cycle really hits the community hard. What happened in the boom in the early 90s was that big box companies came into town. And they grew up on what we call that west side of town, where there's the mall, there's the Walmart, there's the, all those kinds of things. And then there was the downtown. And the downtown was becoming vacant. Huge, rich history there. This was on the Transcontinental Railroad. There was a Chinese massacre there where the workers massacred the Chinese because they were getting jobs at a lower pay than what the locals were. So they just got rid of them. Well, there's all this kind of history, and it was just going away. And there were business owners, let me say building owners, who left their buildings vacant and moved away and did nothing with them. So in this picture, this was the old town hall, fire hall, and it has been rejuvenated. It is now the Rock Springs Museum. And that was a direct result of the Main Street program. That's just one idea. So briefly, the goals of the Main Street program that started in about 2005, I think we're very similar to what you are all looking at, and I'm not going to read each one of them. We don't need to do that. But the bottom one, expand funding sources to accomplish the goals. How are you going to do all this without money? So, the way it was structured, oh yeah, next page please. The Urban Rural Association there is a department within the city. So they structured themselves a little bit differently than what you guys are doing. So they became a department of the city, and the manager is an employee of the city of Rock Springs. But to be able to do fundraising, because they were now a part of the municipality, they formed what they call the Renewal Fund. And the Renewal Fund is a 501c3 that can do fundraising, grant writing, and they now provide grants back to the community in the way of facade grants, in the way of rental assistance to businesses if they're having trouble either getting started or they're not making a go of it. Then these funds that we've written to we have a community block grant through the state of Wyoming. And you probably need to investigate what might be available to you that way. But I am also a certified grant writer, and I would offer my services to you in any way that I could to help. But we need to look at the funding sources. And that came in through the 501c3. And the way I understand the way you're organizing is that you will be a standalone nonprofit, is that correct? Yeah, so you'll be able to do that kind of grant writing and have the freedom to do that. So we partnered with, and here we go into talking about those collaborations and how important it is to be inclusive. The City of Rock Springs, the Downtown Merchants, the Economic Development Association, Chamber of Commerce, the Wyoming Business Council, and that's where a lot of the grant funding has come from also, is the Wyoming Business Council. The school district, the Community Fine Arts Center, because what it did when we started our Main Street projects is it brought some art shows and that kind of thing to the downtown, in the Historic Museum and refurbished theater, that type of thing. And the Historical Museum Board, the City Rec Board, City of Rock Springs Parks and Recreations, the Library Board. And they were actually very huge. There are some library foundation monies that they could contribute to the historic renovation of our downtown. So you really do have to think outside the box and look at all those sources of funding that you might not have thought about. Professional individuals, property owners, and all appropriate stakeholders in the City of Rock Springs community. Don't leave anybody out. Don't leave any leaf unturned. Every one of these partnerships plays a vital role in helping to accomplish the projects in our URA plan. So I'm just going to jump quick to what our 4 key committees are, because I know you're going to be talking about those a little bit later too. They follow the traditional national Main Street design of who you should have and what each one of those groups should be doing. So we do have the design committee, economic restructuring, organization, and promotions. I think you've only got 3 of those. No, you do have all 4? Okay, so that is the traditional, that's what a Main Street program looks like. So it looks to me like you're off on a good start. Next page. There's one picture of our downtown. Those are vacant buildings. One of them is just sold, and a stone fire pizzeria is going into it. So we're real excited about that. Next page, next one, please. There's another picture of the downtown. There will be a picture a little bit later on, but I'm going to talk about there was an old theater that was sitting vacant, and it was just beautiful. It had natural hardwood and it was just getting eaten up by birds, and it was just really sad. So we wrote some grants, and I was a part of that. The Wyoming Business Council and a Wyoming Community Block Grant for a community revitalization program. And we were able to revitalize that downtown theater. It now has programs probably 3 and 4 nights a week going on. They bring in concerts and special movies, and community groups can rent it. There's been weddings there. My United Way, we've used it for meetings. It's a beautiful, beautiful building. So that brought a problem, because so many more people were now coming downtown at different times. We had a parking problem. So if you build it, they will come, and you have to have a place to put them. So some of the old buildings that were sitting vacant, the city imposed a fine on them. if they hadn't either listed it for sale, didn't plan to rent it, then the city was offering them a really good deal on tearing it down for them. Or you could pay the fines. Well, we did have some that agreed to let their buildings be torn down, and they sold them to the city at a very cheap price. Those are now parking lots. Those are parking lots. So parking was a huge issue, and that was resolved through the Main Street program too. You wanna move it? The picture on your right was an old train depot. I mentioned earlier that the Transcontinental Railroad came through Rock Springs. So we have on average of 30 trains comes through the downtown on a daily basis. That's a rich heritage. This was a transfer building where they would transfer from the trains to trucks, and then they would get distributed out into the communities. Well, it was sitting vacant also. Through another grant, a community block building grant, we were able to purchase the building. It belonged to the city of Rock Springs, then got grants to fix it up. It now houses the Main Street program and is a visitor center and has a large community hall that people can also rent to use for weddings and meetings and what have you. So that was a huge successful renovation program too. That's just another picture of one of the old downtown buildings. Ginger, would you move it, please? There's the Broadway Theater, which was sitting vacant, I told you about. It sits on Broadway Street, so they chose the name of the Broadway, which is kind of flashy, and it's got a big flashy sign that goes with it. The renovation of that probably brought more business downtown than any one thing that we did. It was a huge boost to the downtown. And then restaurants followed. 2 new restaurants came in. So people would go to dinner and go to the theater to whatever show might be playing. Okay. And then again, I talk about a little bit the consequences of the growth. So even thinking ahead of where you might go with your projects and what you want to do, you need to think of the consequences that might come along as a result. So do you have enough parking? There was a huge controversy that went on. We had one meeting where we talked about turning the downtown main streets, there's pretty much just 2 of them in the downtown area, into one-way streets. That was just one conversation, one night. It wasn't serious, but you know how rumors start. Somebody went out in the community and said, oh, they're gonna turn those streets into one-way streets and it's gonna ruin my business. Nobody will ever park that direction. Nobody will come to us. So before we could ever even really get started with the parking problem, we already had a conflict to deal with. So I'm not saying be careful what you talk about, but make sure your community is educated and aware and knows what your plans are and why you're thinking about it. Be transparent. I mean, this ended up being, the county commissioners were involved, city council, the chamber of commerce. I mean, it was a huge thing it turned into. And it was just a lack of communication that we could have avoided had we been more inclusive. Okay. I think that's the end of my slides, isn't it, Ginger? So,
How big is Rock Springs?
Rock Springs now is about 25,000. At the time when I moved there, it was probably only 18 or less, 15 maybe even. With the boom and bust, the population has continued to increase and grow. Any other questions?
Well, you have a picture here of the buildings now, or do you still have a lot of vacant buildings?
Two of those in that picture are still vacant. One of them is gonna turn into that pizzeria I was talking about, which will bring, you know, some more evening activities downtown. That was a big problem too, is there was nothing in the evening for anybody. Any restaurants there would close up by 5 o'clock. And then when the theater opened, you know, they'd have shows till maybe 10, 11 o'clock. People would get out and wanna go somewhere and just have a piece of pie.
So are there suburbs, so to speak, or?
There are, it's kind of a crazy town, the way it grew up with the boom and bust, because there's the downtown area, then there's the west side of town where all the box stores are, and then surrounding, there are some suburbs. There's a lot of trailer parks because of the way that it grew so fast. They just had to throw in housing, helter-skelter, wherever they could.
Are there some small malls or?
There's one strip mall, a small mall, that has now become outside entrance only. So all the stores you have to enter, it's not an inside type mall. And then we have a mall with a movie theater attached to it. That's got a penny store and, yeah.
So what made it boom? What are people doing for a living? There's a lot of shopping there, but how are they affording to shop?
The energy. We were a part of the huge natural gas boom that went on a few years ago. One of our little towns adjacent to us grew 50% in 6 months. So people were living in motorhomes and whatever they could find to live in.
So when did you start this project? What kind of time frame?
2005 is when the Main Street program started. And it has evolved a lot through the years. It's had some different management. There's been conflict, controversy between the city and the management. But I think we're at a place now where everybody is really on the same page and working cohesively as a team, as a community.
In regards to the financing of the projects, we've spoken a lot of times of CDBG or community development block grants. Perhaps they're not as available here in Oregon and Wyoming, so what other forms of financing?
I would go to all your foundations, your family foundations, historical preservation. We did get a historical preservation grant also for the train depot.
With a population of about 25K, my recollection of Wyoming is there's Cheyenne, Laramie, and then, so where would Rock Springs rank in the population of communities in the state?
It actually goes Cheyenne, Casper, Rock Springs, Laramie now.
So you have some political stroke.
We do, and because of the oil and gas and trona and coal taxes,
That helps.
yeah,
Helps with grants.
it helps with grants. But interestingly enough, we have a very low unemployment rate. Everybody's working. So even though you have all these social service issues that come in, as a United Way director, that I have to look at, how do we fund our nonprofit organizations to get those kind of federal grants? We don't have the unemployment rate they're looking for, and we don't have kids on low and reduced lunches. We have high income, but we still have the social service needs of the people who maybe moved in during a boom and didn't leave because there weren't jobs elsewhere to go to. But they lost their 3-figure job in Wyoming, so they're still in Wyoming.
My geography of Wyoming is poor, so how far away from any other big city are you folks?
Salt Lake City, if that gives you any bearing, is to the west about 250 miles.
So where's your closest town? How far is your closest town?
We're it.
How about Gillette, Wyoming?
Gillette is north, way north, very close to the Montana border. Green River, Wyoming is about, 10,000, and it's only 15 miles away, but we are the economic hub for them, even though they're the county seat. But we have the hospital. So when they divvied things up, we got the college and the hospital, and they got the county seat.
So you're like, kind of like Klamath compared to Lakeview then?
Yes, very much. We actually make that drive. It's a day trip to Salt Lake to do big shopping or go to theaters or shows or concerts.
Kathy, the biggest obstacle you had to overcome would be what?
Ourselves. Everybody has an idea of what it should be, what it is. And defining what it is was probably one of the biggest. Everybody's going to have their, like I said, you need to have a collective wisdom because you're all coming from a different reason or reason for caring or passion. But you all have the passion. So don't lose that. Realize that you're all in it for the same good, and when you disagree with someone, that's good conversation. Don't let it stall the process. Mm-hmm.
Do you have any magic formula to attract other businesses to your particular town?
That's something we
Can attract businesses to come here?
That's something we struggled with too, because the downtown was fighting then with the big box stores. And people were resistant. A good economic development plan. What do you have to attract people? Why would you want to raise your kids here? Why would you want to retire here? Why do you want to live here if you're not either one of those groups? But really look at the slide that I skipped. I'm going to go back to it. Are things you need to ask yourselves. And I call it the who, what, why, how, where, when, and how. Ooh, I don't know where it's at, but it's in the slides. So really, when I say define community, you really need to define not only who you are, but what you want to be, because Lakeview has got amazing things to offer. And the gal from California said, what's here are things people are paying big bucks to go find, to go to. So look at yourselves. And it's hard to grow. It's hard to change from that, this is who we are. But you can still keep that sense of historic value, that culture that we are, and still invite people to come and be a part of that with you. So that is tough. It's hard. But I think the clear communication and defining what it is you really want to be and stick to that. Don't go too big too soon. Choose small and build. Anything else? Yes?
I'll add that Rock Springs lies along a freeway. And so
Right.
Also, you have a small community college.
We do.
I've been past there many times, and I kind of looked, and yeah, Rock Springs, what is it? And then I was there at that community college for some sessions on federal government. And I had the opportunity to go downtown, and the first thing I passed was the box stores. I said, oh, okay, this is Klamath.
That's out on the west,
Yeah.
those people
But
out
then I
there.
went to a restaurant downtown, and I was pleasantly surprised. This was in either 2009 or 2010.
Yeah, a lot of work had been done by then, because
And
we
I
started
was very
in
impressed.
'05.
And this community, we are off the beaten trail, but we're still on a backcountry trail.
That
And-
north-south route particularly.
And I think we have, like I said, build on what we have when we identify what we have.
Don't change what you are. That's what you need to attract, is people who want what you've got.
Yeah. And at this time and age, Well, back in the 60s and 70s, people moved to, or before that, moved to the big city. Now they want to come back and enjoy what we have here, and we need to build on that. And I think we can.
I think you
Well,
can too.
I know we can.
Any other questions? I don't want to take up the rest of your whole meeting, but I'll be around. I'll stick around till the meeting's over. And if you want to chat, I'd love to. Okay, thanks. Oh, I forgot to. If anybody wants to see, this is our 2014 annual report of what the Main Street accomplished in 2014. And there's some copies up here. So.
So what do you want me to say? I'm gonna do just one. First of all, I want to say I'm so proud how articulate my LHS classmates are, Ray, John, and Kathy. So, wow, right?
We did learn English.
Yeah, well,
Thank you, Mrs. Lee.
Let me comment on things. So I'm going to go back, I want to reflect just a second on what John said, how things have changed, and he was so articulate when he said it. To me, the same things that were here when I was a kid. There was the town of Lakeview. There aren't as many people, but there's more people on the west side. There was a small hospital. I think there's a regional hospital now. Ranching, it's still here. Timber, it's still here, not like it was. The school districts are still here. Government's here. In some ways, it's bigger. You may not realize that, but I see many agencies which are much bigger. The uranium mill's gone. Cornerstone is here. The prison's here. People, we are not Rock Springs or Lakeview. Some people say our isolation hurts us. Maybe it's our strong point. And so you got to turn around and look at it in the right way. Can we attract businesses? To me, it's a marketing question. Mr. Beeson over there opened up the 39er store, and he is busy. And it's just recognizing in the changing environment that John talked about, that what will work here in Lakeview now. So that's the question. So it's just a question of doing it. And so the Main Street concept, there's this handout that's out here. It's the 4 basic committees. There's the four basic committees. And we have structured ourselves to follow that, and we've formed a 501c3 corporation. And I learned something to Kathy, that maybe we think how we need to go out and attract money, more than I had thought to before. So there are, do you want to, Ginger, do you want the committee chairman to come up and talk about this things a little bit? So maybe we'll do that. We have a board, it's already been elected, and we have committee people, board members that are on the committees. And it's the basic committees that Kathy talked about with Rock Springs. And they're basically promotion, design, and economic restructuring. And I think we're going to have the committee chairman come up and talk just a little bit about what they're doing. From my perspective, what I had hoped was, and this is this is really kind of a committee sign-up thing for people to sign up. What I am looking for, or what I was hoping, is that we would get some interested people, maybe that we hadn't thought about. We've been talking to people and trying to get them. But my hope was that we would get some people to sign up. To Ginger and Ken, you both owe me dinner, because I said there'd be 40 people here tonight, and they said there'd be 25. So I didn't put a number on it, but I am really pleased to see some of the faces I've seen in some new faces. And so what I'm looking for, I'm going to have our committee chairman come up and talk just real briefly about what their committee is. But what we're really looking for are people that are willing to make a commitment. And what I'm looking for is people, they kind of have some traditional committee roles in what they do. But I'm looking for people that are creative and want to invest time and kind of make this go. So I'll ask Ann Logan, who is she's the person I just tried to come up here. See how articulate she is. I'll put a little pressure. No, she's in charge of our promotion. Ann actually is the owner of the golf course up there. That's another take advantage of our community, as we have a golf course and a ski hill. Do they have one in Rock Springs or
No, well, I'm sorry.
not? Ski hill in Rock Springs?
No, but they do have a golf course in Rock
Yeah,
Springs.
but
and
they
I
don't have a
golf.
ski hill.
You have, yes, but our ski hill's about 60 miles away.
Well, ours is grand away.
But we still even have a ski team.
What?
We have a ski team.
Very well. Dan's gonna talk about the promotion committee, and I think when we get done, we're gonna have people, there's a question and answer section, and we're not gonna do that, because Kathy asked all your questions. But she'll give it, and so she'll answer, so I'm gonna have her come to sign up, and you can talk to the, our leaders, and see if you're interested, we'd like to get your name and, see what you're interested in helping out on. So, thank you very much.
I'm going to use a mic because I have a small voice. Promotion. Our committee, and I hope a lot of you will sign up to be on the promotion committee, what we're going to do is we're going to encourage the area residents to rediscover downtown Lakeview. We want people to come down, see what the Economic Development Committee is going to do and the Design Committee is going to do. We're going to promote those. We want to create a more friendly atmosphere downtown. That doesn't mean there isn't one now. It's just going to be a new community friendly place to come. And we want to enhance and promote our area heritage. So we'll maybe bring back some of the things that have been going on downtown. I've heard a lot about, oh, let's bring back the wine that the Merchants Association used to do. So maybe we can do that. We'll certainly piggyback on the Irish Day celebration. And any other ideas anybody has, we are open to, and we want to hear those. So that's mine. Who do you want next, Rob?
John.
John, design. You're up.
He owns more buildings downtown, he's got a vested interest.
Some buildings.
Find him.
Last time I invite you here. I asked to be part of the design crew here, simply because I've been so involved in National Register buildings in the community. I listed the Hereford building itself, the big 3-story brick one in the middle of town, if you don't know it. The Hereford House, which is across from Burger Queen, is on the National Register. I listed the building that South Valley saved, God bless their little pointy head. Spent $1 million repairing it, seismic upgrades, and it's really a key cornerstone to our downtown. The revitalization, the removal of that, the old service station there and turning it into a vibrant parking area. It was huge for this community as far as I'm concerned. The overall goals for the design committee, we went through different brainstorming, if you will. We have one member in particular in our group that really wants to see the light poles painted. We have already contacted PP&L, and that is underway. That is a goal and a project that we're technically on our way to accomplish right now. Another of our potential activities is to encourage the curb and sidewalk repair in the community. Those of us that were on the main street through town when they came in and put the nice lamps up and things a few years ago, got some sidewalk work, but up in the East Street area and such, there's work that needs to be done. I went by and talked to Mrs. Hall at Hall Motor Company, congratulated them on such a fine job, our new Chevrolet garage. And her first comment was, we really want to see some sidewalks down here. And I said, well, they got them in beautiful downtown Bly. And it seems to me like Lake County Lakeview should be able to figure out how to get this done for you. And of course, me being so interested in renewable energy, I said, well, you know, I really want to see those same lampposts with the solar powered lights up there too. So Ray doesn't have to pay that new bill. Yeah, that's in the county, they don't pay that. Another goal of ours is, that was talked about. These are just ideas that we threw out. We're hoping that as the committees move forward, the community itself will help generate these ideas that we actually act upon. But one of the things was alley cleanup. For instance, in back of the, between the US Bank and the old Indian Village property there, and you know, I've been in other communities where the alleys were actually very vibrant places, and it just made you feel good instead of seeing stuff and crap and dirty parts there. They had flowers in them and little tables where people could come out and enjoy. Of course, more flowers maintained and everything. That's just an example of some of the things that we've already talked about. For design, the basis of this committee or this undertaking needs to be to look at our historic buildings, our downtown facades, the way our buildings work together and mesh. And we've got a lot of help to do that. The state of Oregon, through the State Historic Preservation Office, will provide all of the expertise that we need. Years ago, when I first brought the idea of the Main Street program to the town, if, you know, there were some guys standing there with their hands on their hip and, by God, nobody's gonna tell us in Lakeview what to do. Well, I've owned historic buildings for years, and no one's ever told me what I could do or that I couldn't do something that I wanted to. They might suggest that it's done in a different way. And of course, I wasn't trying to radically change the buildings as much as I was restoring them. So I never got into that issue with them. But in order to do this, then, it's a lot of work, and I volunteered to do it. It's one of my passions. We also had a lot of work done already by state and federal agencies looking at what we have here as a historical inventory. But the design education and awareness is one of the design committee activities checklist. We'll put together slideshows and PowerPoint presentations. We'll put together speaking appointments, newsletters, press releases, this kind of things. Another part of this is how to help our business people with workshops on window displays and visual merchandising. There's a lot of photographs already been put together on Facebook right now. Thank you, Deb Thornton. There have been a lot of really nice early photographs of downtown Lakeview collected and archived. The museums have a lot, the libraries have a lot. Those pictures then are used to study what might be possible. Some buildings can be taken back, some buildings can't. And you don't try to force anybody to do anything they don't want to on it. There's no requirement that says somebody has to do anything if you move forward with listing on the National Register. The whole inventory and the process that we go through is going to lead up to deciding whether or not we as a community want to have the designation of our downtown as a National Historical District. once we become a national historical district, if this is the community's choice, it opens up a lot of doors for us. There's different grant monies and things that are available to help local businesses do things. I'm sure you used, was your community designated that way, or did we have individual buildings that were on the register more so?
Individual buildings, but because the Transcontinental Railroad now, we're going toward a district.
A district.
Yeah.
A lot of advantages to a district. I mean, coming through Lakeview, having a sign saying this is a national historical district, well, it's not like you have to go off the freeway. But because I'm kind of a nut that way, if I'm going down that freeway and see that, I've never been to a town, and I've got a minute, I'll slide in there, drive around, stop, get a burger, go into an antique store. Speaking of antique stores, when I was restoring the building when we did the streetscape program, I had a big bucket truck and was painting the old Hereford building there. It was amazing to see the number of cars that would be driving through Lakeview and see Feather Your Nest, Kathy's store, and I would notice that they circled back around and stopped. They would go into Kathy's store, and I'd always heard this at different meetings that I'd been in. If you get somebody out of their car to stop someplace, they're going to spend, I think the average is up around $100. I don't know that they do that here, but I saw them go into Kathy's store, they'd come out with something, and then they walked all around town, and usually came back with something else. So there is advantages to having the businesses that attract people to stop and visit the community. And that's one of the goals that our economic development and such will be addressing. So anyway, that's the basis of the design. We want to look at whether we want to be a historic district. We want to look at, is there ways that we can be cohesive with our signage and other things in the community to create a central theme, if you will. I'm not trying to say anything like sisters, but the historical people have, and the Main Street people have been through this hundreds of times with other communities around Oregon and America. So the design committee is based on seeing if we can help business people fix up their buildings, take them back to look more historic, and help generate business. So, I guess who's number 3? Ginger.
John, on the design aspect, one that was not mentioned is so pertinent now is Jack Nickel and the MC. And that just transformed that corner for us. So big thank you, Jack.
Yes.
The Main Street, the state Main Street program, that's one of their slideshows right now. I think that just shows what we can do.
We have one award.
They received an award, right, from the Main Street, the Oregon Main Street program. So it was awesome. I'm Ginger Casto. I grew up here too. I wasn't born under the piano, but I had my appendix and my tonsils taken out right over there. And I graduated in 1967, and I know we have 1967, 68, 69, and 70 represented here. 71? Yeah, anyway. I'm really excited to be back. I moved back in December to take this position. I'm really excited about it. I've been wanting to get back for some time, and I couldn't come back, or I didn't think I could come back because I didn't know what I would do here. And so here I am, and I'm really excited. There's a lot of folks that are in my age group that are thinking about retiring or have retired and still have a lot of energy, and I'm trying to get them back here so we can put them to work. The committee that I am going to be involved with is the Economic Restructuring or Development Committee. If you look in your packet that we provided to you, the very last page, I believe, or the second to last page, is two-sided, and that is our draft plan that we did as a steering committee, and that will give us, as a board, our marching orders, so to speak, to go forward. And it also gives direction to each one of these three committees. There is a fourth committee. It is the organization committee, and it's really the responsibility of the board to be overseeing that particular group of activities and responsibilities. It's about fundraising, managing volunteers, press releases, and that sort of thing. So we do have four, but we're only really going to talk about three tonight, this one being the third one. If you look on your plan, it gives you the information that we're just talking about right now that's in the packet. What we tried to do was develop a goal for each one of the three or four, and then what would be our objectives there. The activities to accomplish those objectives are really what the committees are going to be tasked with doing. And we want to think outside the box, and we want to be creative, and we want to make it, we really want to make it our own in terms of, and when I say we, I'm talking community, not just the board. The economic development goal is to create a vibrant downtown that supports destination retail and restaurant establishments that are inviting to residents and visitors. So we're trying to, as someone stated before, I think maybe it was Ann, that we really want to make this about our community as well as those that are traveling through. And how we think we might be able to do that is to assist building owners in filling vacancies, package and market available incentives, economic development incentives, financial incentives, develop an opportunity for a destination restaurant, a farm to fork, or a brew type pub. That was one specific thing that everybody really felt they could agree on, that we could try to attract into our community that we don't have, that would really enhance the lives of the community members and also be an attraction for those that are on their way through, or those that come for some of the many activities that we do already have in our community, like our Labor Day celebration, the 4th of July fly-in that we just went through, and some other things, Irish Days, that sort of thing. And also, I would say that probably in that is about business retention. That's one of the things that is very important in my role, I think, is to help existing businesses stay in business and also flourish. My goal, it'd be great if we had more businesses come in, but I'm really all about keeping the ones that we have and really nurturing them and helping them stay here. And then we can bring in other folks too. So what we would like to do right now is, up on the wall here, you'll see there's economic development here, design over here, and promotion over here. If you have a feeling for what you might like to be involved with, if you want to move and gravitate to one of those areas, we have a sign-up sheet. The chairpersons from the board of directors will be there. We'll have a little conversation, get your contact information. We've already captured a lot of it as you came in the door, but we want to make sure we've got it. And then have a conversation about what our goals are, when you might want to meet next to start talking about the activities that would promote the objectives, and move forward from there. To keep in mind, Sherry Stewart, who is the Main Street Director for Oregon, will be here on August 11th, and at that time, all of the committees are invited to be here, and all the members, all the people that will be working in those committees for a workshop. It'll be about a 3-hour workshop on August 11th. It'll be from 5 p.m. until 8 p.m. or 5:30 to 8:30, 8 o'clock. It'll be 2.5 to 3 hours. So just to keep that in mind, get that on your calendar. We're really excited. Sherry has been incredibly supportive. The program has been incredibly supportive of us doing this, and so just keep that in mind. So if you'd like to move to that area, then we're gonna come back and we're gonna just have a brief overview from each one of the committees as to anything you'd like to tell us about your conversation that you had, and then we'll adjourn. We're gonna do this for about 10 minutes. All righty? Go. 1, 2, 3, go.
We're going to sort right here. Certain designs. So right here. Promotion.
I know.
You're perfectly good.
So you talked me into opening, I did. We're filling up, but slowly. Yeah. It's looking better, every week it looks a little better.
Ray is also my counterpart as chairman.
What did you do?
We did work last Friday. I'm just waiting for them to get down here.
Excuse us, we're trying to run a meeting here. You're just dead.
I know, I'm not the assertive here. Gentlemen, want to start?
What?
Really, not 10 minutes.
They say women
There's room right here.
We don't bite.
This is promotion committee, and we're really open to suggestions and what you guys would like to see. And we've got a great promoter right here in front of us. And with Occupy East Street, is that it? Occupy East Street.
What sort of change that did we occupy?
Well, no, the legal official name is Occupy. We're gonna promote it as the street fair, Lakeview Street Fair, and car show.
Oh, okay.
So this is the second time we've had the car show. But I thought this would be a great thing to do with Occupy East Street. Will be August the 8th, actually. And Sheila is my right hand and lefty. And right hand woman. And we've actually had very good success with that.
What was that date again?
August the 8th. And we're kind of, I was going to get together with some of our East Street people and start figuring out what we want to do this year. But we'll definitely have the barbecue. We always have the $5 barbecue. And the money that we make there has gone for a lot of promotion, actually things in town that really need to be done. The first 2 years we donated the money to the Cancer Travel Fund. And the third year we gave it to the swimming pool. Last year we kept the money to work on Easter. And so we still have a little bit of money, but I would like nothing more than to get this all going and turn this over to Ann, and then I will be her assistant. But it's really, people have a lot of fun. We're going to have live music again this year from 10 to 1, and then we'll have a radio station out there from after 1. We'll have the barbecue, we'll have the wine tasting, we'll have a car show, we'll have...
So maybe this is something that we do in partnership with
Yeah, that would be
That's
great.
what I would like to see.
Me too.
This would be our big kickoff.
We should have a booth there promoting what we're all trying to do. And,
Are we going to invite the people on the other streets to come over and set up a booth?
yes, I've actually done that over the years, and they've been hesitant to come, but I think maybe now they might. I know that Howard's Drugs does something on their own. They have like an Occupy Lakeview sale, which is good. I think you guys did something last year, didn't you, Rich?
Well, we've had a sale and put tables out in front of the shop.
We should bring some of that stuff over to East Street this year. Maybe we can set up a little booth and you can maybe sell something, over there.
So are we changing the name of the Lakeview Street Fair? Because if we are.
Al's in charge of the car show.
Just street fair and car show.
Yeah, there's something about,
And all the streets.
say for years I've been involved, even when the Desert Cruisers did the car show, a lot of the stuff fell on me, and my wife was just fit to be tied a lot of years. But anyways, what I would like to see in joining this is that instead of just one person putting all this car show stuff, there's raffle prizes. And you know, I had a call from a guy from Susanville that's going to be at the car show. And he was like, well, I was at the Klamath show and I didn't get a flyer. I'm going, I put some flyers up in my window. And he was like, well, you should have handed out like 400 flyers at the car show and 150 at the Millennium show. And I'm thinking, hold on, I pay to go to the show. And you want me to just constantly walk? I've done this. And I don't feel it's really fair, you know, when everything's dumped on me. You know, and you're like, I enjoy doing it. But sometimes it's just, the older I get, the more it's getting tiring.
We've heard that in our conversations, that the same people do the same things, and
Yeah.
we're getting tired. That's why this has to be community. This is why we have to
Right.
engage everybody.
Yeah.
So that's.
But you know what, Ann? Really, if you want to get something done, you give it to a busy person, and it gets done. And so, you know, I mean, I know Al works hard, but we talked about the car show 2 or 3 years, and he wanted to do it, and now he's complaining that he has to work on it.
Yeah, okay, no more complaining.
So, guess what?
Positive.
Well, but you're calling it the Lakeview Street Fair and Car Show, correct?
The street fair comes, actually, the legal name is Occupy East Street, but it's promoting until he's making up some new flyers for us that we can put around town. You'll have one in your store, put in the window, and it will be Occupy East Street's 5th annual street fair and car show.
Okay, so it's E Street or is it Lakeview?
East Street.
Okay, so are we going to set it up?
But it doesn't mean we're limiting it to East Street.
No, but I mean, we can invite.
Absolutely, I want that.
We're going to block it off and invite all the other stores that if they'd like to open up their own stores or if they would like to come join us on E Street.
The only thing that
I know, but I just want to.
The only thing that I've kind of discouraged is a lot of other places to eat because we make our money on the barbecue. And if we have like 15 different restaurants, we're not going to make any money. And I want to have some money to do stuff in the community. So doesn't mean we can't have something. We will have our ice cream booth and you know, a few
I
things.
talked to our pastor because last year they had the little lemonade.
Okay, so it sounds
They
like
do that.
Yeah. And
We're doing it at $10.
Yeah.
is going to be, is again, the kids are. Okay, so we really need to get into, does everybody agree that it would be a good kickoff or community partnership?
I think it'd be good.
Okay.
I do too, yeah.
I didn't have the street lamps.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool, isn't it? Not just one.
And then PPL's gonna be down tomorrow, I'm meeting with a contractor, to look at
The second thing we'd like from them is put a little arm out there so we can. But we'll take the painting first.
So what color are they gonna be?
what color do you want?
They're all the same color, who cares? I think they need to be black.
It's silver and red they are now, but it's gonna change.
Yes. I'm hoping for black, but we'll take whatever we get.
I don't know.
Gold. They represent where we're headed. We're gonna make gold.
Okay, some of the things that when we were brainstorming was the street dance and beer garden, which, you know, sort of goes with.
We have live music, we can dance.
Yeah, or the dance there. Monthly concerts downtown, and what, story nights, theme activities, contact.
Somebody, I don't remember who it was, but somebody was talking about just our, you know, lots of stars, dark nights, you know, doing things at the park or parking lots, things to take advantage of stargazing.
So like a picnic or something, a community
I don't know,
picnic
I
or
think that
something?
was, I think it was John, I think it was Coker.
No, it was Karen.
Well, you're right.
Orchard. Karen, that's right. So, yeah.
Your care.
My turn. Yeah, your Karen.
do have a question.
Her fault.
Sure.
I was a business lady all over the place. I went to our downtown, and I didn't see a place to park. The question as to why there's all these cars, but people complaining they don't have business. Then I find out it's the employees parking in the street.
It's a good point.
The town has a public place for the employees to park. As a business owner, I would not allow a single employee to park in front of my business.
I think most of our businesses, not you, but we try to discourage, yeah, it's mainly the banks and the courthouse that park. Though I did park in front of my own store today.
Well, we tell our
Well, it's
employees,
easy now when there's no traffic down there and there's lot of spots to do that.
what we tell our employees is, in the summertime, you park on one of the other streets. In the wintertime, when it gets dark earlier, then you pull around closer to the front. So we have women, and I don't want to walk in dark alleys.
And then the other thing I wonder is why building owners, first year of business is the toughest for a business. Food on the ground, start. Why you have to charge an exorbitant rent for 6 months?
I didn't hear that last part. What was it?
Why wouldn't you give them, if you were renting a space, instead of renting it to them, 6 months without anything to help them get started?
That's economic development.
Oh, am I in the wrong place?
For that.
Darn, it's the story of my life.
But you know what, though? In the building that we just bought, we're probably gonna have like 2 rental spots in the back. And I'm hoping for somebody, and I would give them 6 months free rent. You can fix it up there how they want it. And then, if they're starting to make money, then we'll talk money.
That's how they get traction.
Yeah, that's what I like to do.
Indian village, this is economic development. That guy fixed the wall on the west side of his. No, I didn't know that. When you try to say you get mugged down there.
Okay, so I have a, no, that's all right, it's all good ideas. What about, how does you guys feel about Roundup? Does it take a lot of business away from downtown? How should we promote downtown?
Does it, Christine?
When we have thousands of people in town. That's what I'd like to see us after street fair occupied.
In the 70s, you remember the 70s and the 80s and the 90s, I mean, you could not walk, you did not drive in downtown because the streets were packed with people. And I don't know what they did then compared to now, but I mean, you could not. The rewrite room has killed us.
Took everything away from the Eagle's Nest and
Yeah.
there's nobody can eat.
Well, that was a lot of it. The other thing too is, in the 70s, I guess, even 80s, the grandstand is even full for the rodeo. I don't know about Saturday night so much, but Sunday and Monday, and now it's a third, on a good day. Now that may change. There's those who think that it will get, there'll be more people come because of the pro rodeo now, and once they kind of get our slot in that circuit, that'll bring more people to town, maybe a little bit. The thing that has grown a lot is the 4-H FFA livestock portion of the fair. There's a lot more kids there with pigs and sheep and steers than there used to be. But the fair itself and the rodeo has really tapered off a lot.
Well, if we could do some kind of like a dance downtown, or rodeo dance, or something to kind of pull them back.
A teenage dance?
Or an adult,
The reason that the rewrite room came in, of course, and maybe, most everybody probably remembers or knows, is there was a horrible wreck over by Bly with a motorcycle and pickup, and as a result of that, there was a major crackdown on drinking and driving, which good or bad, it was probably an issue, and that was kind of one of the ways they answered that was but it really ruin, the culture, the nightlife, between when the Elks was in the middle of downtown, and the Eagle's Nest and Indian Village, and it was crazy, quite honestly. And then they even used to have a dance, a teen dance at Memorial Friday, Saturday, and Sunday nights. And it was nuts, quite honestly.
It was fun.
But bringing that back, and what we need to do is promote responsible nightlife instead of what got us into trouble.
But back in the 70s and 80s and stuff, we really didn't have that much. That one car accident with motorcycles ruined everything.
Yeah, I think, just across the state and across the country, there's just been a heightened awareness of and focus on alcohol, the use of alcohol, its impact on families and events and so forth. And whether we had a big problem or not, generally, we kind of just caught up in the country's shift towards that being an issue.
They lowered the blood alcohol.
Yeah.
That kills you. But if we could do some kind of promotional, a kids dance over here, come out and mom and dad can go dancing over here, and, the kids over here, but do something to try and bring people back downtown.
Maybe we could get the Eagles Nest or Lodge to do an adult dance.
Last year, the Eagles Nest didn't do a beer garden. They did that for 2 or 3 years. I don't know.
Well, maybe if
Right.
the Eagles Nest would do it again, and the Eagles Lodge would do it this year, and then we could do a teen something at the Memorial Hall. Or is that going to be something else now?
Mr. Kestner, he's in charge. It's the basement part of the library.
Or even a teen dance, at the park.
I was going to say up by the swimming pool or something.
Right.
Yeah, do maybe something up there to pull the kids and the parents.
But, okay, so if we do this, how is it gonna benefit the business doing it?
And so we're saying roundup. This is what you're saying roundup?
Roundup weekend.
This is just one weekend.
I can tell you during roundup weekend, for me, as a parent with kids and everything, I don't have time to run, to have them do their 4-H FFA stuff, clean their outfit, take them to a dance, make sure that you have so much money, so much time, and they are going to spend it there. It's 1 week of the year.
Yeah, the kids are going to want to be at the fair.
So,
they're going to want to be in
If you think teenagers are, if there was a dance, a good dance, a good draw, you'd rather be at the fair walking around than at the dance?
See, I understand what you're saying, but I also think, coming from our era, when we were kids, we were in 4-H, we were in all this stuff, and we always, of course, we walked. Our parents didn't drive us, parents dropped us off, we did our 4-H stuff when we were done. Of course, back in those days, there was a lot of Indian stuff and a lot of fights and stuff, but we all walked uptown, and we came up to the Memorial Hall, and we did our dancing and that kind of stuff.
Aside from the teen dancing, the other thing, though, that happened in the old days, now we still have, there's usually a class reunion or two that weekend in town, which are, bring the people from out of town into Lakeview. And I think that's what we're missing downtown Lakeview more than it is the local people who go to eat at the restaurants or whatever. It was the people that came from out of town that needed the services, and they shopped in some of the stores more so than the local people. And so it looks to me like maybe where the effort needs to be is taking your community partners as we can get with the Fair Board and Roundup Association and say, what can we do to add to what you guys are already doing to bring another 500 people to Lakeview during the Labor Day weekend. So I think that's what we're missing is those people that used to come and now they don't.
See, what it also seems, see when the Indian Village shut its doors, it was like it was the center of everything of town, and when that closed its doors, just...
And I remember there were live bands in different ones, and you hit the live band. But I still think you're on the right track, but it doesn't have to be that weekend. I think it can be a different weekend. I've said this a couple times.
Order the Emblem weekend used to be a big deal in Lakeview, you know, and
You could use the tennis court
wives don't got it.
and do your beer garden or your wine. You could have your band right there, put white lights around the tennis court. Kids could be up on the other part, dancing on by the swimming pool. And you could have the adults in your beer garden that's separated from the tennis courts or whatever. I mean,
Labor Day weekend, there are so many more people in town, and downtown suffers. That's where I'm coming from.
Part of the, and what we notice as a business owner, that a lot of times businesses will close for 2 or 3 days. So what we find right now on Saturdays, in fact, is True Value's open and we're open, Christie's open. That's about it. Flynn's, you guys are open on Saturdays, so that's good to know because we did not know that. I'm glad to know. But
Whenever.
But as a business owner, for me, that's a catch-22.
it is, I
You
know,
know?
I know.
We shut our business down for fair and take our business to fair because that's where everybody's at.
See, that's, yeah. The only thing we can do is maybe, what's that?
We used to be open, but in the last recent years have closed because there is.
Yeah, you're losing
I know.
money by doing that.
It's a catch-22, so.
Somebody would like to talk about what you talked about?
I just picking.
Do we need to decide when we're gonna meet yet, or no?
Yes, we do.
Well, so, well, we want to get together a meeting for the Occupy thing in the very near future. Because it comes up on the 8th, and I would love to have you, Richie, involved with that. That'd be great. So, I'm going back home, Planet tonight. I will be back tomorrow, and I will be here for the weekend. So I don't know if like a Friday, you're gonna go to, Ben?
No, I don't have an appointment for this Friday.
So maybe
I'll be gone Saturday,
Friday.
but I don't have one Friday.
Well, I will have some time on Friday.
Alrighty, we want to try and wrap this up, so if there's somebody from each group that would like to come up and just have a little conversation, let us know.
Okay.
Report out what you talked about, and then to close, we'll have Rob do the closing, and we'll be on our way until August 11th. And we will get information to you about where and when for that.
Tonight.
This is a motion to.
You're closing. Ray, are you gonna come? You are.
I have to.
We could go in our coffee shop. We don't have wine though. We don't have
They
wine.
chose the one person who took no notes. August 8th is going to be the 5th annual Occupy East Street or Occupy Downtown or you know, actually, I think it's being renamed to the Lakeview Street Fair and Car Show. But it's sponsored by an official organization that already has its nonprofit status, I believe, called Occupy East Street. So that's why it's still East Street. But everybody's welcome. Everybody's encouraged to participate. We're going to use that as kind of a kickoff for promotions. This committee is going to get involved in having a booth there, encouraging people to become participate more in our committee and the activities of the Main Street organization here in Lakeview. You know, that's kind of, I think, the concrete idea that, or event that came out of our discussions. However, we did go on to talk about other things that take place in Lakeview and how to enhance those activities, take advantage of the opportunity. How do we, for example, get business back downtown on Labor Day weekend? It seems like all of the activities are focused at the fairgrounds, and other than the parade, those of us that were born into the piano remember the days that, you know, there were 3 or 4 nightclub activities in downtown Lakeview, a youth dance, and it was busy. You know, it was unsafe almost to walk downtown Lakeview because there was traffic until midnight or 1 o'clock. And you know, I'm not suggesting that our current society is going to condone things that used to be exciting about those days, but you know, there's some parts of those things that maybe we can recapture and bring. We'll have to get Euless on the promotion committee.
Some demonstrations.
But there's some aspects of what we used to have that there must be ways to recapture and rejuvenate and bring back. So that's what this committee is going to work on, and we're going to start with August 8th and not Occupy E Street, the Lakeview Street Fair and Car Show. Next.
Before you, what else is going on the committee? What we talked about was it's hard for people to decide if they want to go down at 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock without some, like Irish Days has a program. 4th of July could have used a program. And if we had something like that that we could look at so we could fit some other activities again, because I think it'd be great if Rotary could sponsor a dance that day. I don't know if you've got one. I don't know if you got a band lined up or not.
Go ahead and get it done.
Well, I don't know if somebody else has done it.
Are you talking about the 8th of August?
Yeah.
We're gonna have live music, yeah, from 10 in the morning till 1, and then we'll have the radio station after that for the rest of the
You have a
afternoon.
dance that night?
I'd have something for the kids.
We're kids.
Euless and I were talking growing up. The Memorial Hall hosted a dance a couple of times a month, sometimes more. And now there's nothing for the young people to do.
I'm not going to dance in daylight.
Thank you.
Let me dark to dance.
So recorded music during lunch.
Truth is spoken.
Well, I'm glad we got that established.
We'll take that under consideration.
We're doing shows out at 3.
John, we did discuss just the very thing that you're talking about, not so much generally, but you're right. You know, there used to be a youth dance, once or twice a month. You know, through the summer, it seemed like it was every weekend, sometimes twice a weekend. But, or maybe I just let the days run together, I can't remember.
You were drunk, you just.
Well, now in Oregon, you're not going to necessarily be drunk, but it'll be legal. But
you won't have to remember.
But anyway, I think the point is, we haven't gotten any further than the next event in town. But there's a lot of things, and in my mind at least, I don't think it's that we're going to recapture what we may remember and may not even remember accurately happened 40 or 45 or 50 years ago. But there's aspects of what took place then that we as older and wiser people today should be able to look at that and say, we can recreate some part of that to the benefit of our community, and that's what we're going to try to do.
John, you have 2 minutes.
2 minutes.
2.
Well, I'll tell you when I start then, okay?
I'll tell you when you
Go. Quickly. Ms. Decker had a wonderful idea, I thought. Bringing in pictures of the old historic buildings and cowboys and early Lake County stuff. Let's have them blown up and poster size, and let's get those in these empty windows. Okay? Second one, we went from there, basically the design committee is really a dry issue, if you will, where we spent most of our time was looking at the buildings around town and the neighborhoods, driving into town. What can we do to help clean up that aspect of our community? And Euless had some good ideas. I forget where it was that they had the paint your heart out. Find senior citizens that maybe can't afford a new paint job on their house, disabled, etc. Have the service clubs and this and that go in and help those people to clean up their place, get it painted up, maybe a couple of houses a year. There should be we discussed there should be some government regulation that is enforced about some of the really trashy places that are around. There's places that he mentioned that people are living in with no water, and sewer facilities that they're dumping feces in the backyard. Now, surely there's something against that. One of my pet things has always been, could we somehow come up with a fund to buy some of these junker houses and flip them, or tear them down, or, you know, let's get rid of them if we possibly could. Tougher rules. We also talked about, let's look at things for kids, trying to get, maybe help the skateboard park get going for the kids. That's been, people have been trying to do that for 20 years. Christmas Valley, if anyone's been there recently, a local rancher up there donated a beautiful bandstand park facility, nicer than anything that we've got in Lakeview. And that could be a goal, I think, for our group to look at. Enough said. Ginger?
I can't leave.
To our part?
Oh, okay. Watermouth has been elected. Once again, I'm Mary Bradbury, and I was a little late to this table, so I feel free to speak up if I miss something. You're kind of in luck, because I won't be here all the time, because I'm really a nomad. I'm a transient person, so while I'm here.
Homeless?
Almost. We think I think, and they didn't beat me up, I think there's a tipping point in any town where there are too many empty buildings, and it depresses people's desire to be in that town as a business person. So I think one of the most important things that we can do as a group, everything we've talked about needs money, but somehow we need to have money for infusion to help business people that are here to stay in business, whether you're helping them with their furnace, helping them with their roof, whatever. There should be some sort of fund or some sort of way to, kind of like your idea about painting the people's houses, except for a business, so that you can keep the town looking like we're still here. And I think if you can do that, other incentives will fall in place, or at least they will maintain. They talked about a destination opportunity to try and attract people to Lakeview. One was a restaurant that explained to me what that was, but it'd be like the cowboy tree that was up out of Silver Lake that people would know was there and drive or fly into. Another idea was maybe camping. Another idea was something to do with chuck wagon, or to go with the theme from the MC. Trying to cover the rest. Oh, and then another idea they had, I thought was kind of interesting, is they'd have a weekend that would attract people. Would you call them pop-up stores?
Yeah.
Like things that aren't here. They'd advertise it and have the try and draw people to just come in, like a flea market, I guess, except we haven't quite ironed that out.
You could specialize in socks for like 2 whole days.
Just something to try and get people here, different. Mostly we talked about keeping the businesses here and finding out ways to help them fill their vacancy or help with their infrastructure.
Okay, you guys, I was gonna take 15 minutes and it took 40 minutes, so you guys don't want to talk. We formed the Lakeview Community Partnership with an effective date of July 1, 2015, so we've really only been going for 8 days. I'm really excited about just the turnout tonight and all the ideas. I guess what I would like to say is the way it's set up is to be run by a board of directors who's already been picked, and you're supposed to serve a 3-year term. So one of the things I saw that was focusing on tonight was just what are we going to do next month? And really this is a bigger picture thing. We've got focus on it, but we need to look at the bigger picture, and we need to be planning events all year around. We need to be funding all kinds of makeover buildings and finding new businesses. So we need to take a look at the big picture. The way that this will operate is, the way that the corporation's set up is that there's committees to be appointed, 3 name committees, and please get your name down, and the board is going to appoint those committees, and we're going to do that in the next 30 days. And put your names down, and again, the board has, or the board of directors has committed to meet every month, and I guess I'm expecting our committees really to meet every month and generate ideas, and there's been a lot of good ideas. And so please get your name down. We're gonna appoint committees. Part of that is the way we set it up is just for liability reasons, that we know who's on the committee and who's going out and doing things. And, you know, so we have everybody, this is a corporation, it has insurance, and it's gonna be operated properly. So next month, we're going to appoint committees. There may be committee meetings before the 11th. And Ginger, on the 11th, again, the lady from the statewide downtown is going to come and give us presentations and give us ideas about what the committees can do individually and how they can expand. And again, my goal was to get the committee set up and to empower the committees with people that have lots of good ideas, and let those committees go and expand and develop and take this thing and run it. And I think Mary said it very well. I think a lot of us are here tonight because we've looked at what's happening. We think this is kind of a tipping point. I believe that it can be done. The MC chuck wagon is a good thing, and one of the things that made me think we can do it very much just on a local level is what happened at the swim pool. That was built 50 years ago, and Kathy was talking about communities. They got some public funds. Ray knows there were just people from all over the United States that had ties to Lakeview that sent money and said, I love that community, I want to do it. The Lions raised a bunch of money, the Rotary raised a bunch of money, Mr. Optimus raised money. There was a community effort, and I think this can be a community effort too, is to help us. And we're kind of focused on the downtown, but it's really Lakeview Community Partnership. It's for all those businesses here and around Lakeview, and so we're not Rock Springs. We only have 2 small downtown streets, and our community really is bigger. And we're going to expand it to include all businesses, and that was the idea. And actually, there's a plan, and there's a model out there to take in adjoining communities to Adel, Flash, Paisley, and we have the vision and the knowledge. So anyway, I don't know if I want to thank you all for coming. I'm pleasantly surprised.
You said something, Rob, that just made me think a little bit, and that is, as I said, you know, we're kind of focused on what's going to happen next month. You're trying to get something started, you know, get some interest and maintain some momentum, but we need to be thinking, you know, 6 months and a year and, you know, on down in the future. Let me just give you an idea of a 6-month thing to think about. It's a bit early yet, I realize, to start thinking about Christmas, but as most of you know, Mayor Patrick, who is kind of, you know, one of his major things in Lakeview was to promote the Christmas season around Lakeview, starting with December 1st being the lighting of the Christmas tree, and then the weekend following that, various activities that goes. So Mayor Patrick has resigned. We don't know what the leadership of the county is going to be and who might, you know, if that's going to continue with that same focus. But there is no reason why this group of people can't become much more involved in that and promote and develop and design and work around the things that have been started already around Christmas season. So,
Rob, do you want to mention the buttons?
Yeah, you give me a button.
Sorry.
I haven't seen it. You know, that's, again, this is an idea thing. I have always thought it should be called in Lakeview Black November. The idea is to shop in Lakeview before we go out and get all that except a Black Friday. And that, it's just becoming creative, getting ideas, getting people connected to that. And then the one other thing I didn't mention was, again, this is, we don't technically have members, but we are developing for community partners. And again, this kind of went back to the swimming pool, and all these people that just said, I want to support this financially. And I believe there are people in the community that just will support what we're doing. They make donations, especially, that's why we went to the 501. 501c3 status. I think we're gonna generate some money. I think there's money out there we can get, and so we're gonna have we have a community partner thing where you can donate money, get a tax donation. Well, that's coming too. So what we're gonna do is, if you would like to be on a committee, and we don't, if you're gonna walk out and show up once every 6 months, I want your involvement, but don't ask to be on a committee, because we want commitments. The people that have ideas and want to follow through and be excited like tonight, sign up for the committees. And you're always welcome to donate money or give us your ideas. I think there's a lot of good ideas out there. And so it's just getting enthusiasm and going with it. So you can get free butt. Can you get the butt's free, Mike? Or can you bring them?
This is our first fundraiser. This is our first fundraiser. Make a donation.
Make a donation, yeah.
And they're very cool. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Mike helped us get that.
Thank you so much for coming. We're adjourned.